And the funnier thing was that my two buddies, they both wear full-face helmets. And one of them, Thing Two's helmet, had a mirrored visor on it, so you couldn't see his face at all. So the cop asked them both for their IDs, and Thing One had lifted his shield up, and he handed the cop his driver's license. He's looking at him, and Thing Two gives him his license, and he looks at his driver's license. He can't even see his fucking face, but he never asked him to put his visor up. And he, mind you, he still hasn't even glanced at me yet. If I was a bad actor, I could have walked up behind him, hit him in his head, and taken his shit. But anyway, this cop was he saw the cuts, and he was just curious, nosy, profiling us a little bit. So then, he just let us go. And the funny thing was, when we got to our buddy's place that evening, we were telling them about it. And they said, you didn't have to stop for him. I said, what do you mean? He goes, they passed a law here that you don't, there's no high-speed chases. If you guys just would have taken off, he wasn't allowed to chase you. I said, that's the dumbest fucking thing I ever heard. Anyway, they're going to find you eventually, who cares? But so that was that. And then we left, I think, Mount Vernon. Corner 2, we headed southeast and visited some more brothers up in Moses Lake, Washington. They put us up. They had a nice party for us. We spent maybe a couple days up there. We went on a day-long group ride with all of them. And a couple days later, we were on the road again. And we stopped, visited another group of brothers in Idaho Falls. Spent about a day and a half with them. And conveniently, they were also having a bikini bike wash there, so got about 5,000 miles worth of bugs washed off my shit. And we made our way through to Wyoming, stopped at Devil's Tower, and the Black Hills and all that shit, Mount Rushmore. I didn't care about doing any of that because I'd been there so many times, but they had never been. So we made all those stops. And our next stop was visit some brothers in Iowa, where we spent a couple days. Then Thing Two split off in Iowa, and he went to meet with his wife and kids because they had come in for a family gathering. And me and Thing One and his wife kept riding east till we got around Michigan and stuff. Then him and his wife split off and went up to, she has family up in the Upper Peninsula. So they went up there, and I headed by myself to my place outside of Cleveland. And I was there for like a day or two, got to see my grandkids. And then Thing One and Thing Two both ended up showing back up at my place. And we spent one more night, and then we headed east to our third stop. And we had a brother up in Maine, and I really appreciated their hospitality. They put us up. They put a dinner on for us with lobsters like this. We each had a couple lobsters. They made scallops the size of golf balls. What a feed they put on, and chicken and everything. We ate like pigs for 2 days. So him and his wife rode us up to the border of Maine and Canada, and it was I forget what it's called. There's the first mile marker of Highway 1 up there, and it was we rode that. We got pictures up there at the border, so that was it's Fort Kent. That's what it was. Fort Kent up at the Canadian border. It was the number 1 mile marker, US 1, and like Route 1 in California, Highway 1 runs north and south from the Canadian border down to that buoy down in Key West, Florida. And that's the southeasternmost point of the U.S. and the last mile marker of US 1. And that was going to be our final corner. Anyway, while we were in Maine, we stopped at a Harley dealer because my buddy was having some issues with his top end, and I had a little bit of wheel wobble, so I wanted to check it out. So we're there, and the mechanic comes out and gets me. He says, "I want to show you something." He goes, "You got a stowaway on your bike," and he had the fairing off, and there was a mouse nest and a dead mouse inside the fairing. He must have crawled in there in my garage in the winter. Thing 2's bike was having a lot of issues, so he was going to have to get a top end done. Probably sooner than later. He probably wouldn't be able to finish the trip without getting that done. So we rode back to our brother's house, spent one more night, and then left the next day, and we dipped inland for a bit. I stopped for a few days to visit my buddy Charlie Town, who was my best friend from Vietnam. Him and his family live in Lowell, Massachusetts. And coincidentally, Thing 2 had a friend he served with who got killed in the war with him, and he wanted to go visit his grave. So me and my buddies and my buddy Charlie and his wife went to another friend, Steve Battle's house. Lived about half hour in there for dinner. And he's got a house on the ocean. And while we're eating dinner, we're bullshitting and everything. And Thing 2's talking about this buddy of his that lived in that area and got killed. And Steve Battle tells him, he goes, "Yeah, I know all about that kid." He goes, "I was instrumental in getting a bridge named after that boy." So there's a little small bridge. They named it after this guy's buddy from the war. So that's a pretty small world. And then Charlie, who was used to run his family's trucking business. They had a fairly large trucking business, town trucking. They had about 150 trucks. He said, and he goes, "Yeah," he goes, "when that kid graduated from high school, I hired him to work at the truck yard before he went in the Marine Corps." That's really something, how all these things come together, people you never met thousands of miles apart, and you all end up having this connection. So we ended up that night, me and Thing 2 found a cemetery, gave a toast to the kid, and as is the custom, and then laid some coins on his headstone. And the next day, Charlie's son, Charlie Jr., wanted us to come to the barber shop he worked at because he wanted to give us a free trim and stuff, and just to do something nice for us. So we did that, and then we headed down to Jersey. And Thing 1's family lives there. That's where he's from originally. So we were going to stay at his cousin's house for a few days. His cousin was having a birthday party, and so we got there. And before that, Thing 2 got a hold of that kid's mom who lived right there, and she insisted on having lunch with us. So we met her, and she bought us lunch and everything. She was really appreciative that we came out to pay our respects. And so after that, we went down to Jersey, the Thing 1's cousin's house, and I woke up the next morning, and I fell on my ass. I couldn't stand up. I had vertigo. And if I hadn't had it before, it would have scared the shit out of me. But so I laid in bed all that day, and they went and got me some Dramamine and some other stuff, and I just spent the entire day in bed, just rolling my head from side to side. until it cleared up. So finally that evening it got cleared up, and I got up, and at least they saved me a piece of birthday cake.